Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an object show fan that has barely watched any object shows. We have to fix that. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome in to Object Catchup, the series where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them, whether they are new or old, famous or unknown. It doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, today it is, I guess, finally time to get to the show that I was supposed to have watched like 2 days ago. However, there have been the special and the surprise animatic battle release yesterday that absolutely had to take priority. It is the Daylight Savings Object Show. So the Daylight Savings Object Show is had its episode 2 released yesterday. It is a little show. I know nothing about this show, to be honest. But it had an episode 1 released a couple of months ago. It did pretty well for itself. And now, of course, it's had episode 2, a longer one, a more interesting one. So I guess we'll have to see. I'll have to watch episode 1, episode 2. I'm completely uninformed on the show. But yeah, I think that's sometimes the best way to be. Yeah, no? Like, you just gotta go for it, you know? Because that way there's no previous intel, there's no previous knowledge at all. I just know that the show exists and I'm interested to watch it. So it's gonna be interesting. The Daylight Savings Object Show is created by the one liviciabattery. So it's a singer and makes a bunch of covers, including some songs in the IOSC, if I'm not mistaken. I have listened to some of the covers before. She's very good. I know that she, I think, made the recap song for II season 3 at least. I don't know if it was for season 2 as well, but at least season 3. And that was a great little song. I really enjoyed that one. So, a very talented person, but is the show gonna be something I enjoy as well? I don't know. I guess we're gonna need to find out. It's probably not going to be the only thing we take a look at today. I'll take a look at other things depending on how much time we have here in after discussing Daylight Savings Object, because I'm not sure how long the segment's going to be. We're starting off with the 4-minute first episode called Here Comes the Sun. All right then, let's watch it. Okay, I have just watched the Daylight Savings Object Show 1, Here Comes the Sun, but before I even talk about it, I just want to say, the concept, right? So, like, the concept is that this is an object show that releases every Daylight Savings. Daylight Savings happens twice a year, right? It happens on the second Sunday in March and on the first Sunday in November. So, as a concept, that is, in my opinion, an excellent concept. I mean, because yeah, a lot of the time we get to see like these object shows like that are based on a time or something, but then it's always like a sort of impossible time, like weekly or daily or whatever, or then it's a time that just takes a bit too long, you know, like I know that a lot of people do like a yearly object show, you know, or like yeah, something that happens once a year. But here, the Daylight Savings Object Show gives it decent levels of time where it'll release like 3 episodes technically within the calendar year, but there's like that 4 to 8 month range where you can make an episode, you know, and make a relatively high quality episode. And this episode got trashed. You would want an episode to be high quality, and this episode is relatively high quality, as well. Now it is just high quality, which I think makes it a very nice little experience for a concept. Speaking wise, the hosts are amazingly designed. By the way, Sunny just looks really good. Like there's not much to say about it. The asset is just really good. It's like the right level of cute. Yeah, no? Is that the right level of it? Just kind of looks nice, but still kind of not necessarily algebraic-esque, but it is kind of algebraic. So then the teams will be, well, there's actually 2 teams of 3 because there's 7 people, of which one is a duo. We've got MIDI, which only speaks in piano notes. We've got Pop Filter and Mike, which is another excellent little design. Yet again, 2 people combined in one design. Best designs ever. Strawberry, which is the character that wakes up at the beginning. They seem to be, you know, they're the newest one there. They seem to be the most maybe confused. Street Lamp is the most chill, relaxed, while there's Sunscreen as a whole buff guy. Yeah, I'm tough. And then there's Mint, which is kind of it's a little bit one of the louder fellas. They don't really have a mouth to speak. Which, yeah, you see, every character here has their own unique little design trait. Despite the fact that there's a cast of 6, it's a very memorable cast of 6. You know, like they immediately stand out. Every one of them, they stand out quite well to each other. Maybe the one that stands out the least would be the strawberry. But even then, the strawberry stands out pretty well. The intro is also pretty solid. Um, so the challenge ends up being to clock to turn back the clocks by 1 hour, which they which MIDI ends up knowing how to do it because the other team doesn't really know how to do it either, and then Sunscreen tries and fails miserably because yeah, they're not they're one of those pretend to be smart type characters. They don't actually know anything. But either way, yeah, that team is up for elimination. This is just smart. That's what I think of this Object show so far. It's a small episode, but it's just a smart episode. You know, it's a smart concept that has a smart cast with everybody being unique and interesting, right? And it's not a big cast at all, so you can in just these 3 minutes already grasp everyone because there's not that many people to grasp, right? It's not like a big cast, so and it also means that you'll be able to get this done within like 2 years, I think. Within like 2 years, you'll be technically already be able to be done with the data saving object show. So it's just smart. It's just a very, very smart object show. I can't lie, you know. That is the best thing that is going for it. It created a concept that sets it up for success. I'm curious how like the next episode gonna go because there's theoretically the possibility that I don't know, maybe the next episode was like ready like 3 months ago, but they were just waiting for the time, or do they just go make more episode if the current episode is is already done, right? If there's more time, I don't know how the work schedule for a show like this works, you know, because like you've got a set release before, but what happens if you're just done? Do you just make more? I guess like arbitrarily until you've decided until the time is alright. Like you just make show until there's enough. I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out, right? But yeah, it's a lovely little episode, super fast. My prediction on the eliminate is absolutely Sunscreen. I mean, Sunscreen's got to be getting out. Strawberry is not the titular character, but you know, the character that appears first, and then Sri Lamps didn't do anything to really deserve being eliminated. Sunscreen technically through for the team, and also is the kind of like annoying character core. So, yeah, I'd expect them to get out, absolutely. But a very nice little episode. I see why 130,000 people decide to tune in. It's also just a fast video, just 4 minutes long. It's nicely made. It's a quick watch, and it's overall just pretty good. I cannot sing the praises enough. Now it's time to go to the latest episode, the Daylight Savings Object Show 2, significantly longer at 10 minutes. It's called "What Even Is Daylight Savings?" All right then, let's find out, I guess. Uh, so I just watched the Daylight Savings Object Show. Why did I just watch like the most adorable thing of all time? Oh my god. Wow. Okay, that was crazy. All right, so let's start off here with Strawberry, who's writing a poem because I mean, well, not with the best handwriting, but he's just writing a poem, you know, ideating a little poem. Uh, there, and then Street Lamp arrives, you know, and has a little conversation about what's going on. You know, they're in this place for ages, right? Like if you think about how long it's been realistically, right, since this show presumably takes place in real time, right? Um, yeah, they just end up, you know, walking around, spending their time looking at it, and Strawberry decides to spend the time writing a poem, which is pretty good. That is pretty good idea. And yeah, the sky is pretty. So I think what they end up doing is they end up writing a poem because the poem wasn't done, as far as I'm aware, when Strawberry was done. So then they end up probably writing the poem together or something. Then there's Sunscreen, which did figure out how to turn the clock back 1 hour. So that's pretty cool. Can't lie, it was pretty fire for sure. But this guy is interesting. Okay, so this freaking Sunscreen guy is, well, it's one of those, like, you know, more ego, I guess, type of cool badass guy characters who lost the challenge and ended up getting eliminated, obviously, right? But like they're somewhat interesting. They have like a little bit of power. Like you saw how they could twist the clock. I don't know if they destroyed the clock last episode. I don't think they did that. I think that was Sunny and Mooney because the other team was done, so the clock wasn't needed anymore, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, eventually they get up for elimination in the middle of the flipping sky, which is interesting. Strawberry expectedly gets the least of Street Lamp, which doesn't do that much in that episode. Proceeds to get 681, while 2,600 is the amount that Sunscreen gets. Get eliminated by Ages. They tried a sunblock, which almost leads to something. To be honest, it doesn't work because also if you think about it, it won't block the moon either. So even if it did block the sun, there's two of them. Need a sun and moon blocker, so it wasn't gonna work anyway. But eventually the other fellas are there, and while they're heading into the elimination, we see Microphone and Pop Filter trying to talk about. They're just discussing daylight savings, they're just chilling out discussing daylight savings, and they're talking about how the fact that it's kind of pointless. Mint says, like, Mint. Okay, how would I describe Mint? Mint is like that character that's like, it's like those analytical characters. They always make the small circular characters the analytical character. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. It's because golf ball. So everybody's like, oh, we gotta have golf ball too. But like, so I'm having that. They're pretty humorous. I do enjoy Mint a little bit. And I like their design not having a mouth. I think it's interesting. But then eventually, a microphone ends up saying the hit quote, "Daylight savings is honestly useless," which gets Sunny to cry. I was gonna say this in the last episode, but like Sunny just reminds me of like 2000s cartoon protagonist. Like like those Cartoon Network shows, like I don't know, like where the freaking main character is like a kid who goes on adventures and stuff, and they're relatively jolly, but they're also like emotionally unstable because kid, right? That's the vibe that Sunny gives me. Like he reminds me. I didn't watch this show a lot, so I'm probably wrong, but it does remind me, like, give me vibes of something like Powerpuff Girls, right? Um, but like it does. I like it. I like that type of character. It gives him depth. It gives me vibes of cartoon, which is nice. It gives me vibe of protagonist from cartoon. And then you have the not necessarily the sidekick, but like the friend who arrives in and comforts them, and then they end up as a power duo, right? As Mooney um tries to comfort Sunny for talking about daylight savings. Mooney ends up listening to it. So eventually Mooney decides to invent a challenge right there on the spot. Challenge is prove that daylight savings is useful. Basically, cheer up Sunny by talking about daylight savings, which, yeah, you have 5 hours. So, gotta say, alright, what is Sunny and Mooney? Because they're not the sun and the moon. That's not what they are. They are a different thing that I guess only comes by on daylight savings, because Sunny like is daylight savings in a way, which like I don't. It's interesting, right? Because like Sunny isn't the sun and Mooney's not the moon, because they're both just like the sun and moon don't leave. Like they continue to be there. So they're not directly the things themselves, but they're a fella from the thing. Do they represent it? I guess they like represent the daylight savings within them, their category, I guess, right? Because that's like their main thing, which I think is pretty interesting, to be honest, right? How it's like there's not Sunny isn't the sun, but like it's then what are they? They're daylight savings the character, right? Their legal name is probably like Sunny Daylight Sun or something, right? Like it's an interesting little detail. 5 hours, they end up not really. Okay, 5 hours is a very arbitrary amount of time when you consider that the teams don't really do that much. I mean, Mitty ends up ordering a book on daylight savings and all of its lore. They pretty much read it out. I mean, the other team ends up using the poem. I don't know. Do they spend 5 hours just going, yep, let's use that poem? I hope they like refine the poem. The poem seems a little targeted more than I'd expect. So I'm predicting that what they were doing during those 5 hours was probably, refining the poem, writing it. Like they were doing stuff, even though we have a time skip. I don't think that they just spent 4 hours and 30 minutes sitting there and going, yep, this is gonna be great. Like I'm sure they spent time refining the poem and stuff. But then eventually they get to speak out the poem to the daylight. Oh, no, not to the daylight. You see, I'm not calling the characters daylight. No, I need no headcanon. I need to call the characters what they are. Then Sunny ends up getting told the poem. That was great. That was a great poem. I mean, I'm not that good at poetry, so I mean, I'm not gonna judge the poem on like its poeticness, but it did sound good. And it was useful, and it made a great little scene with like Sunny slowly getting up to listen, and then eventually Mooney reaches the hand out to like get up, and then it's like, ooh, that's such a good little cinematic little scene. While the quote is ongoing, they get up, and then the camera shows the sun and the moon over there at the top, and all of that stuff, and it's like it's good. It's nice. And I'm low key surprised that the poem that Strawberry wrote was positive. I was worried that I was worried that Strawberry was you know didn't like the place that they were in. I'm surprised that they actually enjoyed it enough to write a positive poem. You know, so yeah, that is an absolute like wondrous little poem. And yeah, Sunny and Mooney definitely enjoyed it. And at that point, they just win. Like it is elite tier stuff. Like there's no way you would ever beat that. How would you beat that? If you were the other team, is there any way you could win? No, probably not. Okay, there is the technically weird aspect of the fact that it's a challenge, like try to cheer up Sunny, but it's not the first team to cheer up Sunny. It's just the team that does it the best. But if Sunny's already cheered up by one team, then the other team cheering up Sunny was already going to be in high. Like, how would they do that? If, like, you see, speak out the poem, and even if the other team had some crazy epic idea, right, it wasn't going to work. Even if the other team had like an equally good poem, it's like, no, I'm already happy now. Right, like it doesn't work. You'd have to make Sunny re-sad again. So it's not exactly a great idea. Like it's not the best challenge because the other team is kind of lost immediately because Sunny's back to be like he doesn't need cheering up anymore. But either way, I mean the winner is still deserved because um the freaking lecture ends up being a pretty bad idea. Okay, no, the lecture isn't a bad idea. The lecture is like an informational lecture about, speaking about all the good things of daylight savings. But yeah, you're right. Why are you speaking out to the embodiment of daylight savings? Yes, they know what they are. Obviously. It's like, oh, daylight savings used because of harvest. They know. It's like when you watch a lecture on something you already know. It's like, what? It's like when you go watch like what is 2+2 video on YouTube, like you already know. Like it's just, bro, it's what did I just say? Is there a 2+2 video on YouTube? Surely there's gotta be, right? Um like yeah, it is, they're absolutely correct. That team fails to the fourth order. Um I don't know who was getting out on this team. Midi should be safe. At least Midi had a concept in mind, right? I'd say, like they at least invented the idea of trying something. Because Mint and the microphone are, or I'm gonna call it mic pop. They're absolute like it was tough. It was complicated. They weren't really doing much. I would probably. It's a different thing. Mint people might find annoying, but it is also kind of funny. I'd probably just predict that Mike Pop gets out because at the end of the day, they are the reason. They're the reason why their team lost because they started the challenge anyways, right? And it's like if you obviously make a mistake that ends up making your team unfavorable, then yeah, I mean, you should be going home, right? Because it's like, sure, they technically didn't lose the challenge themselves, the challenge itself, but the fact that the challenge was that is directly as a result of that. It's kind of like if you are slower than your opponent, right? If you're like the weakest physically, and then you go like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if the challenge was a running competition? And it's like, yeah, you're gonna lose, but you suggested it, so like, what are you doing, right? So basically, don't diss daylight savings, but it did lead to the cube perm and stuff. But yeah, Mike Pop unfortunately seems like they're probably gonna go. I don't know. Again, voting is open for quite a while. Apparently, it's open until December, which is a very long amount of time. It does end on December 21st at 10:03. I was looking at that time and I was like, why? Why does it end at 10:03 on December? I don't I cannot figure that out, to be honest. Like I looked at the daylight savings stuff and I was like, it doesn't that's not a thing. Like it's not a that's not a time where daylight happens, I think. Like in any place. So like how is it December 21st at 10:03? Like that's 10:03? I whatever. Um that's it's a time. But basically, yeah. You can go vote for ages basically on this show. You can absolutely can do that. But this was a lovely little episode. I've already probably talked about it for way longer than I was expecting to. But you know, that's just the virtue of it. It's just a really nice little episode. Absolutely go watch it. Go watch this show. Really impressed with it, to be honest. It's the main thing that it's got going for it is just the fact that it's really smart. The show is smart, you know. The way it's written and is smart and has good cinematography, you know, like in the way that the shots are animated, right? Like they're decided storyboarded, I guess you'd say. Um, it's really smart. The animation quality itself is quite good. It's quite high level. Um, and the show just sets itself up for success. It's the power of setting yourself up for success. Having a show like this that works on a good time frame for you while making sense, and then you have a relatively small cast of which everybody who was decided is unique and special in their own way, and then you get split up into teams, but then the episodes aren't going to be too long because there's not that many teams, and you have a good set of hosts that have a good little combining and personality like division to them, and then it's a win-win-win. This show is genius. Like it is just absolutely genius in the conceptualization of this show. Was a 10 out of 10 is basically what I'm saying. It was a genius idea. All right. So good job. I'll be looking forward to next Daylight Savings, which is in March, apparently, for Daylight Saving Object Show 3. Yeah, that's all I've got to say. I don't know why I say let's hit it. Like, yeah, skip time to March. No, that's that. We'll talk about some other little shows now. Next. All right, so the next object show that we're going to be taking a look at, well, we're going to be going back to somebody which I reviewed their object show quite a while ago. I reviewed Object Hateness episode 1. Well, around a week ago. I never got around to this, but they uploaded episode 3 of this little, I guess, joke object show called Object Bootleg. It had like no views. I was originally thinking of skipping it, but no, I'm nice like that. I'm going to be reviewing this 3 episodes, all right? Going to be giving it a quick discussion because I'm going to keeping up with all of the creators that I review something up. I keep up with them and I give them special treatment to review anything future that they release. So we start off here with Object Bootleg 1 called Roblox Hacks for Dummies. Okay then, let's go. Okay, so that was Object Bootleg 1. I must say this is an interesting thing. So, it's 1 minute long, right? So I guess there's not going to be too much to talk about it. But there's this interesting pacing to it. That's not usual. There's not that bad of an initial interaction. To be honest, it's okay. I mean, obviously, it's a joke show. Wait, one of the characters you can see literally a Trump head, but like in general, it's not too bad. There is an accent on the voice, but what are you gonna do about it? I don't care about it. So, yeah, we ended up being the intro. There's like 5 characters in the show, so it's kind of the fun. Just replace half of them all with the Trump heads. I don't know why this idea B intro is as laggy as it is. Like, that is crazy. I don't know why the title of the episode is called Roblox Hacks for Dummies. That's not related to anything at all. But it's also created by Atomic Claws. Is that a is it? Are you Atomic Claws? I don't I don't think you are. I'm sorry. Who's Atomic Claws? Is that you? Is that a different name? What is that? I don't know. But the challenge is to survive on the balance beam. 3 people just fall off. Nothing really happens for them to fall off. Yeah, I don't, they just fall off and then they're up for Elam. Half of the character don't even do anything. My notes, as usual, are always focus on a challenge rather than an initial interaction, right? I'd rather have something happen in a challenge than something happen before a challenge and then nothing happens in the challenge. And secondly, give the screen time to the people you know you're going to be putting up for voting, because at least it gives the option of somebody choosing an opinion on a character. Because here, at least, Cool Glasses and Yo-Yo Blanket are pretty much just a design contest, right, of which one you like least, or Trump face, I guess. So it's like, in general, it's just meh, like, you gotta try to give screen time to the people you're putting up for voting at the very least, if you're giving so little time, because otherwise it's just not good. But let's watch episode 2, titled that's a great question here. The playlist wasn't outdated, the one for Object Bootleg. Object Bootleg 2 is called Make a Song or Die. All right, then let's go. All right, that was Object Bootleg 2, Make a Song or Die. We head immediately into the intro. That's still I don't know why it runs at the frame rate that it does, but it just does. Okay, nice to see that the name Atomic Claws has been removed to add the name Mio's Animations. I still don't know what that is. That's still not you. Who is that? I don't know, but Mio's Animations, I guess, are there. Eliminated ends up being Cool Glasses. I must say, it's not exactly the best look for you if you want to say the N-word. You don't say it, you just say UN-word. But if you want to say it, I'm not like if you're like, what would be good? Oh yeah, that. I don't think that is the best avenue for you. You don't look very good when you do that. I must say, you look kind of like, uh-oh, it's kind of like an uh-oh moment, because you kind of like weird when you want to say that. So then the challenge is to sing. So the friggin' Yo-Yo and Trumphead end up saying, Yo-Yo Blanket, they end up singing the BFDI theme. It doesn't actually have lyrics. Then the other team of Dream. Wait, Dream? This man was Dream there. I swear there wasn't Dream. Was there Dream? Did I just miss that entirely in episode 1? I swear there wasn't Dream. But whatever. They end up singing some like Saccharine Circles mashup. It's not. I mean, look. Technically, they should win because they did it. They sang, to be fair. Like, well, I mean, they didn't sing it, but like, as part of the song that was used for them, it did have lyrics, while the BFDI theme didn't have lyrics. So I disagree with this. The other fellas, by just avenue of having sung a thing, should have been safe, but apparently no. The other team with the BFDI theme gets to survive despite not singing. So then the teams up for elimination. Some antagonists form OI or Dream. I'd probably eliminate Dream because I swear to God they weren't there last episode. I swear, bro. Well, they were not there, right? Surely not. Surely I'm not making this up. Whatever. Let's head into the 3rd episode. It ended a little too soon. Okay, let's go. Okay, I've just watched Object Bootleg 3, which apparently is the finale. I didn't even know that. That's the finale? That's the finale of the show? That was not what I was expecting. And of course, I mean, the main thing, where did the VA go? Where did the voice acting? Voice acting, where did you go? Why? Where did he go? No. My voice acting. Look, I understand that I criticized a little bit, but like it's fine. It's okay. I'd rather the characters speak. I'd rather the characters speak than text. I prefer it. At least you'll be able to get better. Maybe eventually get some other people who want to voice that, right? And then get some other voice that, and then get a better vibe, Then you get to listen to it. You don't have to make it a reading thing. Come on. All right. Well, Other than that, which I'm a bit disappointed by. Yet again, it's not a good look for you if you just want to say the N-word all the time. Like, if you just want to make the character say it, it's not good. It's not what you want. Like, like, I'm sorry, but you gotta see it. I don't know if anybody else would agree with me on this, but you look weird. Like, it looks weird. Like, why do you want to do that? You know, like, it's not necessarily like, oh no, don't worry, the character doesn't do it. Okay, but the fact that the character doesn't do it isn't the thing. It's the fact that you thought of it. Like, you were like, well, yes, what should the character say? Yeah, the character should say that. It doesn't strike me a lot of confidence within, like, you, in a sense, you know. Like, I'm saying this sort of personal, but like, just it doesn't give me a lot of faith. I guess I'm gonna say in third person. It doesn't give me a lot of faith in, like, the creator, right? Because it's like, it's not right, because like, if you thought of that, that means that you have that, like, within you, you know. So I'm not. It doesn't shine me with a lot of confidence. I have dreams of living there, yeah, obviously, but we have our laggy intro. This time, the created by symbol is correctly credited to the name, I believe, of the person, of the creator. So then we have the host dies, gets replaced by one of the contestants. Challenge is not to kill me. We get some recommended characters, which, hey, we got a recommended character. That's cool. That's cool. I don't mind recommended character. BFDI background, and the other one, what was the other one? It was Trollface. But like, hey, we got some recommended fellas, which is pretty nice. You know, we're including them. We're doing community, so I like that. Then eventually, window comes back, and everybody else quits the show because you don't want a prize of 67 cents. Of course, it's 60 cents. The meme wasn't even there when Object Bootleg 1 released. Ah, this is a meme show, but weird. Then everybody quits, so then that means that the season and the show has ended. No more. Then we get, I don't even know what this ending of this even is. It's using the theme from Animatic Battle, and then, like, I don't know, it's trying to be some weird fella that's doing something, but we don't really, nothing will stop them, apparently. I don't know what you are. Like, was anybody trying to stop you? What are you? who is talking to me? I don't know, but they need fame now, so go subscribe to ItsBluezYT, and you'll be able to discover who that is probably at some point. But yeah, I mean, I'll make sure to, again, I'll keep an eye out on what the fellow show creators that I've looked at are doing, of course, such as Blues White Tea, and everything. Even if, it's, I guess, a little bit lower quality shows, because it's fine. It's fun, to give some pointers, even if they don't end up watching it and stuff. I still end up doing it because I find it pretty interesting. So yeah, in general, you look weird if you get the characters to almost say the N-word, and you should bring back the VA. I think VA is better than no VA. Absolutely, in my opinion, it is. And if you can do it, it's fine. It gives it more charm in a way, like, the thing it had more charm than, like, Object Niceness those first two episodes, because at least it had VA, at least it had some voice lines. At least people spoke. You could hear tonality rather than having to imagine it, right? It just gets you more in the zone of watching a thing rather than just having to read it all the time, which is fine. A lot of things wanted to read it all the time, visual novel stuff, but in general, I don't think that an audio show is usually the best place to do that, right? So, yeah. That's all. Keep it up. All right, so next up, I want to discuss. I don't really have a good segue into this, but I want to discuss this community post that the Urban Excavation YouTube posted a little bit, because I just found it really interesting. I've been looking a little bit into Urban Excavation because it was a really interesting episode. So you got me to thinking if there was any other features, especially when you have your own custom YouTube, right? Usually I don't cover community posts and like creator updates that are outside of the episode themselves, but usually I leave that to like Mikey, who does the object show roundup, way better at that stuff than me. However, since currently Mikey isn't covering urban excavation, and also urban excavation, just kind of by the nature of it, gives this ARG-esque aesthetic, and in ARGs you always have to check everything everywhere all the time. I will be covering this little community post and discussing about it. So, missing persons, name Melanie something, age we don't know, birthday we don't know as well. Female, height also we don't know. Black eyes, distinguishing features: chip tooth, origin green skin, occupation cashier. Last seen September 5th, 2024. If you or anyone you know has information, please call this number or blank. Now that is very interesting. And we have this little picture attached of what we presume is Melanie. Now that is really interesting, and that gets me way more excited about urban excavation than I even was before, because that we get a proper visual, which implies the idea that maybe someday we could possibly get a visual episode of urban excavation, which I would be stoked to see sometime. The characters, it's like this screenshot. They seem very, very distressed in that screenshot, possibly giving me the idea that they are maybe this is from them in the place, although we gotta look at this backdrop more properly. I've tried to figure it out what it is, and initially it looks like a forest. That was what it gave me look like, but there's a lot of options of what it could be. The thing about this image is it is quite low resolution, so it's a bit hard to properly see what's going on, but it gave me vibes of a forest initially. However, when you look more into it, it also could be more like street lamps. It gives off that vibe of that. It could also be street lamps or maybe construction work as well. That would make sense with the show in a way, right? That it would be more street lamp style, right? Because that's just what it's trying to do so much of the time, right? Um, However, in general, it's just kind of a bunch of lines in the background. Some of them look like street lamps, some of them look like trees, some of them look like construction work. It's like a mixture of it all. But we don't really know. There's not too much you can theorize here. I don't think in the I didn't. I mean, I don't have the episode memorized, so I can't really tell you right now. But I don't think they say names of people that often. So I don't know if Melanie was one of the people there 100%, but it seems pretty clear to me. September 5th, 2024 is an interesting date. Why? Because on September 3rd, 2024, the channel Milagro which is one of the creators of the show, published a video called Urban Excavation as a little preview, and it was apparently releasing in the next 24 hours. Now, did it do that? No, absolutely not. It did not do it. It released a year later. But if we ignore that being a thing that happened, September 3rd was when that video released, meaning that on September 4th, theoretically, we should have had the release of Urban Excavation 1. And then on September 5th, apparently, they were last seen. Okay. However, I mean, in a way, it's a little weird, because that does mean that they survive a day. Because Urban Excavation 1 happens, and they're all stuck there, and you never see them again. That means that they're still the next day where they exist. Which is kind of the interesting thing, that I guess, if they're one of the characters in the little place. So there is this little 1 day gap that I'm not exactly sure. If I said September 4th, I would have immediately gone like, yes, that makes perfect sense, right? But it doesn't say September 4th. It says September 5th, which is 1 day after the release of Urban Excavation. Because it does it because last seen means that the last time anybody saw them. So if the last time anybody saw them was September 4th, that makes sense, because that's the Urban Excavation release. But if they were last seen September 5th, that means that they do survive to see somebody the day after. This is basically the thing. They didn't go missing on September 5th, they were last seen on September 5th. So that, which theoretically means that they will be missing on September 6th. So I'm not sure exactly. I could be overanalyzing dates, but that's what you do. In ARG style things, what you do is analyze this type of weird information, and that is in fact what I am going to be doing here. So that is the interesting little detail. I don't know if it matters. It does make me think that the fact that the dates aren't adjusted is really interesting, because how, no, okay, I'm sorry, right? Completely honestly, how does a show get delayed by a year? How does that happen? Because the show was supposed to release in the next 24 hours. There is no way you set a release date of tomorrow and not have the show basically be ready. But then the show took an entire extra year and a bit, like a year and a month, to eventually release on Halloween 2025 when it was supposed to release on September 2024, which is so unbelievably far that's just weird. Like, that's just such an incredible delay that it's crazy, especially when you consider that, like, well, yes, there's a lot of, like, cool writing and audio work is amazing on the show and everything. Like, that's all true, right? Yes, okay. But, like, you would think that a show without one of the main components of an object show, which is its animation, would be capable of finishing a little bit faster than a full year, especially when, remember, that full year was when it was supposed to be already done and you could already hear the sneak peek of it. So how does that happen? It's just, how does that happen? How does a show get delayed by 1 year and 1 month when it was supposed to come out tomorrow? Like, you can't get it that wrong, right? That's not a thing, is it? I don't know. That's the thing, because remember, again, I'm in this ARG mindset. In ARGs, people just lie. you know, in ARGs, people just say shit wrong, which is why I'm like, I'm looking at it just in case. I'm more like, okay, what is going on, right? Is that a thing on purpose? Um, but it doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like it, which is so interesting. But then, if it was an honest delay, would you not delay the lore? Like, the lore of it, right? Because, like, I don't understand if it was, because it could be cool if it was in real time, right? Yes, it's cool if it was in real time. That's why you would have released the episode on September 4th, and on September 5th you published the community post, and then you're like, oh shit, this is a thing happening in real time in the audio show universe, and then we'll get videos in real time. But then, if that's the concept, surely you, with the delay, you would like, go accordingly, you know? You would delay. Like, it's like, okay, we had to delay the show to October 31st. Let's publish on October 31st, and then publish the tweet on November 1st saying that went missing on November 2nd. Does that make sense? Or like on November 1st or whatever, right? That all makes perfect sense. But then, no, we actually kept the dates exactly the same to when it was originally supposed to release, which now means that the show isn't anymore aligned with real time like it would have been if it originally released, which is an interesting decision. I I mean, the thing is, I don't know what it is, right? I don't know what it is. We don't know enough about urban excavation to properly say anything on the matter, but this little detail absolutely intrigued my mind, so I had to just talk about it here, despite the fact that it is not an episode of an object show, right? And it's not a waste of time, but it's not getting me closer to having caught up on everything. But urban excavation is just extremely interesting. Absolutely go check it out if you have it. Um, this it's a little audio piece, and then you can come arrive to theorize of it with me. I will make sure to theorize anytime they post anything, because it's just the type of thing that tickles my brain. It's just a really interesting little thing, and I gotta talk about interesting things when I see them. So yeah, I'm very confused about the dates going on in this community post, but overall it's a very cool community post. I guess I'm more excited for the show. But yeah, 1 year. Let's talk about some actual videos now. For the next show that we're going to be taking a look at, we are going to be going back to Bloxer, which we originally reviewed a CAE1 from a couple of, I think, weeks ago now. However, they have released episode 3 of their show, AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS. So let's watch these 3 episodes of this show, because why not? Yet again, we support creators. Last time I was a little bit dissing CAE, so I'm kind of sorry about that. Let's keep it moving, starting with the episode 1 of that show, You're Cancelled, Ha 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 Ha. Alright, so we have just watched episode 1 of this show. So apparently the name of this show, what is it? It's an object show, but not really an object show because it's a joke object show. That name is also too long. I'm going to call it the AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS. Okay, so in the first episode, the AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS, we get introduced to our contestants here, which is a skull emoji, a football, or what is it called, a football? It's a soccer ball, because America. All right, look, I'm a look, it's called a football. Okay, We got Dice, we got Himshies, which it's Hershey's but guy, and Candle but pink. So we get also our host Walmart, which I mean, I know that there's a show called like Battle of the Apps, where there's a bunch of like Square apps. I don't think Walmart would be one of them. I don't think this is just taking a character. So I think this is as far as I'm aware. I just haven't seen it. So I'm gonna say that this is an original invention of AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS. Um, the first challenge is to what is to wait is to challenge is to and then candle which is like basically the II asset of candle but squished and turned pink, so it just looks like jello. Does a BFDI cheer and then eventually wins the challenge. We don't get to see a lot of the other fellas. Usually, like as I like to say, I prefer challenges where everybody gets to at least give it a go, right? Maybe they get scored on it on the best sound that they made, and then the winner does it. But at least you get to see everybody try, right? In this case, we're doing a completely uninformed voting. Like we're voting skull emoji, soccer ball, himshies, or dice. I don't know. We didn't get to really see them do anything, right? Which is it's a little bit disappointing. Like even if I understand that it's a joke object show, but even in the case of a joke object show, like surely like you want to do jokes in the joke object show, right? You don't want to do nothing. So usually it's a bit, anyways, I've thought about this episode for quite a while. Now let's head into AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS 2, which is called Eat the Biggie. All right, then let's go. All right, there it was. That was the second episode of AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS called Eat the Biggie. So first of all, cool intro, by the way. I've that's a fun intro. That gave me good, as far as joke object show intros go. I think that's a good one because you can clearly see the joke. Everybody's just getting shoved to the side while the next character is introduced, like a freaking closet. When you shove everything in the closet and then you just hope it fits, and as soon as you open it, it's all gonna come crashing down. But like it's fun. Yeah, I like that. um. That's a good intro. The challenge, first Dice gets out with 3 votes. There aren't enough votes to really be able to gauge like a proper pattern, but I think the fella just didn't like Dice. I guess it's the least jokey of the character. We're in a joke show that's very obviously a joke. I mean, it's literally called AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS. So, like, Dice does give off the least joke character vibes out of the joke obviously, so I understand people want to eliminate them. Then the challenge is to eat the dynamite, which, look, as far as challenges goes, yes, this is still a one person does a thing and then they're safe challenge. However, I do enjoy this because everybody got to say their word. Everybody got to say, yes, soccer ball and candle simply just said, they're not eating it, but at least they spoke. They spoke in the episode rather than in the last episode where nobody spoke, right? So Himshies eventually goes on to eat it. That makes sense. They're the chocolate bar. I guess they'd be the eater. But like, they got to talk. Everybody got to talk and at least make their claim. I guess Skull Emoji did it. But okay, Skull Emoji did it, and they're probably gonna get it. I don't know what the image use for them is, but like, you see, fine. 80% of the characters spoke. That's not good. You want to have even if you're doing a super small episode that's under a minute, you want to try to have everybody speak at the very minimum. So you can at least have something to go like, okay, I've given every character this little bit of screen time. Now there can be an informed voting decision. Maybe it's a small amount of information, but at least it is a piece of information, right? So absolutely, I think this is improved. Then we get to see Dice in the Void. No idea what they are, but they didn't get a chance. That's true. You should have just done the whoo or whatever the challenge was in the first episode. Like you slack, you lose. Then there was a little bit of a break heading into the third episode, which is called that fool who was up for debut. All right, then let's take a look at it. Unless, wait, is there something else? No. Okay, let's go. Yeah, so we have the fellas here. Well, I just watched AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS 3, that fool who was up for debut. So a Soccer Ball gets eliminated. Yeah, I think that's how the voting is working. Roughly, the voting is just people going, what character is the least funny? And then eliminating them out of the joke show. That makes sense, it's a joke show. You want the funny characters to stay on and eliminate the character aren't funny. And the soccer ball just isn't that funny of a concept. So that makes sense. But then we have a debut already here in episode 3. I mean, I guess there aren't that many characters. If you do one more episode, you just have a winner. So we have direct Connor Zilch, which is Interesting. A few of a few of these characters speak in quotes from like episodes like BFBD or shows or streamers, and then some of them speak in text to speech. We got Clippy, who's recommended as Bloxer. Can you do that? Is that allowed? Are you allowed to I mean, I guess you didn't try to hide it. At least, like you just added your own character to the debut show. That's usually for recommended character. Like you can recommend your own character to your own show. I mean, I guess that's an interesting debate. I've never had to think about that before. Recommending your own character to your own show. Well, okay. Anyway, Clippy is interesting. There's M. No, there's me, which is recommended by M. So yeah, interesting. Then there's the raid spray bottle. I'm sensing an animatic battle theme here. But yeah, they still tried. Diction, which is kind of like a book. I like this fella, to be fair. I think that, I mean, I like the asset for them. I think the asset for them is pretty decent. Taylor Swift vinyl. So Taylor Swift vinyl. I also think it looks pretty good. To be fair, as the design goes, it's a pretty nice rendition of the 1989 album cover. Mr. Goober Yasicles. The text to speech really struggles with that one, to be honest. Then there's Remotey the Remote, which doesn't even say anything. Roblox, which just goes wah 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 wah. That one might get in, to be honest. I'm a bit interested. Alright, their name isn't Roblox. No, that character isn't called Roblox. They're called Cyan Crew Forever, and they're recommended by Cyan Crew Forever. No, okay. Cyan Crew Forever. Gotta have a talk. You are not the entirety of Roblox. What? Is that you? Like, are you saying that you are Roblox? That's not Roblox. That's Cyan Crew Forever, the character, who just so happens to be the entirety of Roblox. Nah, that's crazy. These recommended characters are crazy. And there's Frasby. Alright, that's pretty cool. And then there's Stop Sign, recommended by Bloxer again. Bloxer again, recommended character. I mean, who do I think is getting in? Probably, I'm getting a Stop Sign vibe, because Stop Sign technically got biased by, as you can tell, how, like, the text changes, bro, easy, okay, there's the zoom in and stuff, so there was technically a bit of bias put on Stop Sign. I'm not gonna lie. There's a little bit of bias. However, at the end of the day, voting, I believe, is still open as of me uploading this video. So if you're looking at this segment, you want to vote for AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS 3, who you want to debut. You know, maybe you want M to debut. Maybe you want Raid Spray Bar to debut. You can absolutely go do that. Go vote. Go be the history you want. I usually choose to not vote in these shows. Just simply because I don't want to impact I don't want to impact too much, and I don't want to make them by the. I want the viewers to decide, the viewers of the show. While I'm discussing it, I'm not a big voter, basically. I like analyzing what happens rather than being the cause of things to happen, basically, especially in these shows that don't get many votes. But yeah, that's what I got to say for AOSBNRAOSB. Honestly, it flows surprisingly well, AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS. Like, I've enjoyed saying it. That's why I've tried saying it more, to be honest. But it's pretty cool. I can't lie. Pretty cool show. I don't know, like, completely honestly, like, when I reviewed CAE1, I don't know why I was like that. I guess I was just in an off mood. Like, why am I doing that? Like, the text-to-speech is the most common thing in object shows. Like, what? Literally, BFDI, like, had to care. No, well, not had to care. But, like, 4 characters are, like, text-to-speech. It's like, it's okay. It's fine. It's honestly completely fine. It felt weird to CAE for some reason. Even though it's really not. Like, I apologize really a lot if you're listening. Because it was mean. It was straight up mean, and it was one of the big mistakes that I made, reviewing these small shows. Because I try to be nice, but for some reason, in that case, I was mean. So, yeah. That's all I've got to say. Keep it up. I'll be sure to watch AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS episodes when they release. I gotta get out of this segment, otherwise I'll say AOSBNRAOSBIAJOS forever. Just want to say, Alright, next. Alright, next up, we're going to be heading over to yiypop, which we talked about Silly Show, quite a while ago now. However, they, in the past few days, over on the Halloween day, released a couple of things, mainly Scary Showmas episodes 1 and 2. So let's watch episode 1 of Scary Showmas called Merry Christmas. It's 30 seconds long. Let's go. Okay, so I did fuck up. because this is a season 2, apparently. This is not something that I was informed of, but look, we're just gonna go along with it. I don't think I'm gonna need that much prior lore of Merry Showmas to be able to take a look at Scary Showmas here. So in this episode, apparently we get here this like a snow globe character as the host. We have some other fellows which seem to be various sort of winter things. I don't know. We have like a sun, a knife, a lemon, a step. I don't know who that is. Um, some sort of Christmas ornament looking thing, a cup of coffee, and then like a square. I don't really know this cast because we haven't met them. We haven't met the cast either. So yeah, the Christmas ornament says that the challenge is to remove these fellas because it's Halloween residue. You know, there's the spider and the web. And the fellow that was mean originally ends up doing it, and therefore being safe as a result, which is nice. Mean character survives. However, we don't vote because something's going to happen in Scary Showmas 2, which does release on the same day. So, all right then. That is pretty interesting. I must say that I do think that the style used here by yiypop is pretty interesting. It looks pretty nice. I think genuinely the ability to see a character with color here, which Silly Show doesn't really have, is interesting. I think it looks nice. Like this snow globe looks good. You know, it's a good asset. It's animated well, and honestly, I would be interested in seeing the potential object show with an environment with color to it, because that's globe fella looks good. You know, it gives me hope for the future, right? So yeah. But now it's time to watch Scary Showmas 2, which is way longer at 4 minutes and a half. It's called Doe. So, all right. Alright, that was not what I was expecting at all. But so this episode isn't 5 minutes. I mean, it is, but like it's cosplaying as a 5 minute episode for Halloween or something. So the elimination. Who gets eliminated? I don't even know. Pebble and Steel Bar get eliminated based on what? They get eliminated based on the there's no reason, there's no logic behind their elimination. They just got eliminated. So that's it's unfortunate. I don't know why, to be honest. I have no idea why they got eliminated. Like there's not even it's not like there's a contestant vote. It's not like the host chose themselves. They don't say that they chose, at least. No viewer voting, as said before. Like there just isn't anything. Why? I don't know. I don't know. But we're just eliminating people based on vibes. And then the rest of them do a staring contest. Blink and you lose. So then, the ornament fella, which I don't know if you're an ornament, but you look like an ornament that hangs up on a tree, ends up just being out immediately. Lemon is like, hey, you can't be out. And then eventually, what happened? They freaking demolish. They just rip up the lemon, the blood gushing. I mean, we don't get to see it for like more than one frame, but that is pretty brutal. Sun has a pretty crazy reaction to it, blinks due to it. So this challenge seems to be going pretty fast until Coffee Cup and Knife are like, we can go all day, and then they do. Like they literally do. They spend the next 4 minutes of the video just in this. No, not really this free frame, but like just in the freeze frame. And then some stuff shows up. Lemon is back for a moment. Then they leave again. Then the host tells them to hurry up and appears in. Then there's a little running skeleton green screen. Then it becomes nighttime. We ask if they're tired, and then eventually, after like 3 minutes of the staring contest, Coffee ends up blinking and losing to the knife. I like how real that like frame after knife is safe looks. Like it's proper. Like that just looks like an honest sigh of relief. I can't lie. Like that's pretty crazy. But good job, knife, on winning that challenge. Um, I guess since it's all done in real time, you could technically test it out yourself if you think that you can do a longer staring contest than them. I couldn't. I can maybe last on a staring contest for like 20 seconds. I'm really bad at staring contests, so I would lose to them quite handedly. But look, if you think that you can keep it up for 3 minutes in a row on a staring contest, and maybe, just maybe, you can try to fight it out against Coffee and Knife. And you might win. You never know. You might be a winner. And then the character's up for elimination again, but we're not getting eliminated. I don't know how this elimination works. We're just eliminating people based on vibes. Like genuinely, just I don't know. We're just eliminating people. But then that means that the original complaint from Ornament Fella there is that they were definitely getting out because they were the mean character. Well, it's not true anymore because the contestants aren't voting. Like we're just not voting. So that's not true. Then you can just eliminate whoever. So I don't really know. And I mean, it's not like these episodes are coming out back to back. Like 1 and 2, I'm out back to back, so that makes sense. But now the next episode is coming out on Christmas Eve, as was revealed at the end, which means that like that's a full month and a half. You could have added a week long voting if you want, and still be capable of making the episodes. But nope, I guess not. So I don't know how to say. But in general, did I enjoy this? I honestly did. I kind of like this type of humor that is very. It's like meta humor ish, kind of like the YouTube video. Um, right where it's like, oh, this can go on forever, and then it literally shows them going on forever, like in real time, or like the narrator be going crazy and mentioning the fact that they're a narrator. Like that's just cool, right? Theoretically, so this how many episodes have? So we had a double elimination. Then we have how many contestants? We have 5 contestants left. So we have one more elimination and then one more elimination. So theoretically, yeah, this episode would be capable of finishing by four or five uh episodes. So if Scary Showman is released on Christmas Eve, then that would mean that possibly the final episode, Scary Showmas 4, will release on Christmas Day, and then the show would be over. So that's what I'm maybe thinking is gonna happen, right? So then it's October 31st and November 1st, the scary part, right? And then December 24th and 25th, the Showmas part. And then those are the two, like, I guess, stages of the show, which is a cool concept, genuinely. I think it's kind of cool. Um, to be honest, I kind of vibe with that absolutely because it's pretty interesting. Um, but yeah, the main thing is just I really liked how the color Globe fella looks. I really hope one day there's gonna be a show from him with characters that have color because I think that it could be like the worlds they do feel a little empty because they're all black and white, but in the possibility of it one day not being a black and white episode, I think it could be pretty alive. So I hope in that one day, it'll happen. But for now, that's all I got to say about Scary Showmas. Next up, it's another tiny episode of the 20-secondly Object Show All Stars, which had its episode 5C release. 20 seconds, right? So we'll do our quick 1 minute talk of it. Let's go. Well, that was an interesting minute. So Wind Token wins. Good job, Wind Token. And then Pie Holder is the second one to win. Gets hilariously mad at Blockloon for like no apparent reason. I guess it's just because they're a winner and they made it far. When historically winners just get eliminated immediately. Like they did in the last season or in season 2, when here the latest winner got eliminated pretty early, right? So what was the latest winner? How do I don't remember? It was like it wasn't Notepad. It was. Oh God, why am I bad? Why am I bad at remembering things? No, it was floppy disk. Yes, it was green. Um, but then yeah, they just get pissed and eventually just kick them out. Top 10 objects show Crashouts. I do agree. But who's going to be eliminated? My prediction would maybe be White Steven because White Steven didn't show up in this episode because White Steven already failed last time. So maybe that's my presumption, and people might feel bad for Blockloon. Amazing asset of Blockloon being sad, by the way. Looks adorable. As I've said, the Blockland asset is my favorite of the new art style for 22nd of the show. So yeah, I hope they stay. I hope White Steven gets out because they're kind of weird. Let's keep it moving. Next. Alright, so next up, we're going to be taking a look at the third episode of AJSMB78C. A few days ago, we took a look at episodes 1 and 2. So now it's time for episode 3. As it released, it is titled, Where is the Host? The last time we had a triangle, black hole, but a triangle eliminated. Let's see who's going to get eliminated this time and all that jazz. Let's go. Okay, so I just watched AJSMB78C, right? So First of all, the elimination. Bowling ball gets out. Controller stays with 2. Generally don't remember who I said was getting out that episode. I think it was bowling ball because they sort of threw the challenge, if I'm not mistaken. However, then we don't have any challenge for this episode because we end up going to a not a rejoin, actually, to a well, a debut. Sorry, I was trying to find the word. Yeah, I was looking at episode 1. Yeah, absolutely. Bowling ball was the one that was gonna go because they, nearly killed a guy. You just gotta go. So the main thing I gotta say about this debut is there's so many people. Like, you need. I'm sorry. It's just 24 people. Sorry for the cutout, but 24 people are in contention for joining this show. They literally don't all fit in one voting screen. Why? Because, like, I can understand they want to fit in the recommended characters that you got, but you're just gonna make some, like, epic tie. Because we have 8 votes. Like, apparently there were 10 votes submitted for AJS and B7AC, and here we got 24 options. If anybody gets 3 votes, I'm already surprised. Like, I'm already surprised. If anybody gets more than 3, like, gets more than 2 or 3 votes, you know? Like, I swear to God, like, what's gonna happen is gonna be like the winning character has 2 votes, then everybody says 1. And it's split across like 9 people. Because it's just an infinite amount of people. Like, there's not, I'm sorry, but there's not enough audience here to really take a 24-person recommended cast, Like, it's just a lot of people in it. But either way, we're still going to take a look at it. They don't speak, so we won't get to see too much. Cape flies around. That's pretty cool. Mint looks a lot like candy, but they seem pretty sweet, but they're alright. Helmet doesn't really do much except bobble. Cornball Jr. is Video game guy. This video game guy, the girl. Interesting. It turns themselves on, like the screen. That's cool. That's a little cool thing, so I'd maybe consider it. Blue ladder doesn't do anything. Object shows my favorite, which the channel profile, the person, the character, they don't have arms. The arms are within it. And there's blue crown, that is the character from the object shows my favorite channel profile as the part of the profile. Yeah, this is confusing. But yeah, they smile. Mermarble, no idea what they even are. They look like a mermaid. They're like a mermaid. That's cool. That's kind of cool. Okay. YOURE is just looking angrily. BFB17 tier list. Bit disappointed by this fella because it's not even a BFB17 tier list. It's just like a tier list with BFB17 tier list with an on it. It's not an actual tier list. I'm gonna say I'm a little bit disappointed. Gender fluid cup. They're walking around. They have like the least screen time. They have like 0.2 seconds. Then there's tall glass of agender flux juice. Alright then. They're the 2 together. They are pretty solid. Then we got chocolate milk box who falls over. Alright, that's the red baby. Gingerbread man just looks over. Chalky milk. Why do we got so much chocolate? The cookbook. I kind of think the cookbook was like pretty cool. Then there's the Snickerdoodle cookie, which shuffles from left to right. That's pretty cool. They don't look like a cookie. They look more like a planet. They look like Jupiter. But alright. And we got the smelly sock. They're unhappy. That makes sense. Wi-Fi box. It's a bit of a weird angle of them. Don't really like that. Lil Timmy, that's just a bullet bill. Come on now. Swordsman, are you a sword? You're more of a triangle. Can't lie. Then you have a laser beam. Whoa. Air, low key, non-existy type B. Get worried about it. Might win. Ice cube glued to a plate. That's kind of funny. That's the type of joke character that's funny that I might vote for. I mean, I don't vote, but like I would kind of not mind it. Dot. That makes sense. They appear for like 1 millisecond. And then black square. They also look cool. I like the angle. I like the angle of the black square. Like how you see it like twist a little bit. So like sit at an angle. I like that. So who would I be possibly choosing? I like the Game Boy guy quite a bit. I like the ice cube stuck to a plant, and I like the black square. So I'd probably vote one of those personally. Either way, voting has already closed and everything. So yeah, I hope one of those characters rejoins. I'll be shocked, however, if anybody gets more than 2 votes. Again, like it's just it's just what a division, you know, like 24 possible options. It makes so much. Like even in stuff like TPOT voting, we see like half the cast available for debut. It just ends up like within 100, you know, because it's too little time and too many options that is end up dividing attention too much. But oh well, that was me talking about AJSMB7AC. Next. All right, next up, we're going to be taking a quick look at SpoonyToon's channel again. SpoonyToon's the creator of LBS, which is the series that we took a look at for the second episode. They are doing this quick daily series called November Nonsense. It counts as an object show, so we're going to give it a quick little discussion. It's going to be fast, though. Let's start off with episode 1. It seemed to be roughly a daily episode. Episode 1, Wish Upon a Bone. All right. Alright, that was episode 1 of November Nonsense. Again, I'm not really going to judge this too harshly because it's nonsense. That's literally part of the name of the show. But sorry enough, it's not really that much nonsense. So it's a 30 member object show. However, if it's happening once a day, it would mean that we would get 31 episodes roughly, and we would end up with 29 to 31 episodes. Right? So then we would end up having the entire month of November. It is going to be a little bit of a spam of uploads. I'm not sure if YouTube's going to be a big fan of that, but other than that, here we get to see the teams and all of the fellas. We got the sacred stuffings with stuffed turkey. I think there's a turkey, there's a fork, there's a plate, a bunch of food stuff. The whiny brats. There's Black Friday, which is pretty fun. Apple juice, a piece of bread, and the wine themselves. A pretty angry wine. Crispy taters with Cyber Monday. That's kind of fun. There's a bone. There's an egg. There's a bunch of other random fellas. Then there's the creamy cranberries, which is a good name. We got a leaf blower, a Christmas present. Pancake. That team needs to be the most random because they're kind of just they're not they're wrong holidays. Like, what do you mean, pumpkin? And then we got a freaking Christmas tree. Come on, wrong month. Oh, and then there's teen chicken breast with chicken breast, a leaf. All right, all the fellas. So the challenge is surprisingly enough to pull the sign of the wishbone. So I'm surprised that they did manage to make a full bracket technically happen within 20 seconds. I'm low-key shocked by that. I don't know why the crispy taters will be like so unbelievably disadvantaged. Like they're immediately in the final match before anything even happens. Well, Team Chicken Breast ends up having to lose 3 matches to get up for Elam. They do end up losing the 3 matches, which I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I would have personally, like, made a proper. I mean, I don't know. We got 5 teams. I don't know what happened to that one team for them to get so ratioed. But either way, they still won. What would I say? I hope that we would have had more teams showing up on screen because for Team Chicken Breast, the only character that ever shows up is the Chicken Breast themselves, right? Maybe if there was like a picture of the full team pulling it, or like it swapped who was pulling it every turn, we could have seen some more people in action. But here we only saw Chicken Breast in action. I have no idea who is gonna get eliminated here. Maybe Chicken Bucket. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out in episode 2, which released the next day. In a good mood for good food. Let's go. All right, that was episode 2, in a good mood for good food. That indeed. So the freaking what do you call it? Break. Oh yeah, the freaking break. Ends up eliminated with 2 votes. So now they end up eating food. So whatever food they find is gonna be it. Now again, for the fact that this is 1 minute, it's a pretty damn solid minute. Like this challenge is nice because we get to see pretty much every team do it. I prefer challenges where every team gets to go and then gets scored rather than a team not going. Because, like, for example, half the teams did it fed dead people, but the stuffings, right, which have like half of their members also be food, so they could have done the same strategy. Don't. Why? I don't know. It's that type of thing. Where it's like, were they just slow? Were they doing anything? Were they planning anything? We don't know. We just saw that they didn't do it, right? But yeah, I found it pretty creative. The crispy potatoes end up making like a sandwich of the stuff they need. The chicken tender from the bucket getting drenched in the olive oil. I especially like grabbing the logo. The fact that we're grabbing the cranberry off the logo is really cool. I really hope that in the next episode the cranberry is not in the logo anymore. Please, that would be great continuity because they got eaten. That'd be amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I really hope that they do that. Um. And then eventually the whiny breath gives them mashed potatoes. So yeah, we just kind of don't see the sacred stuffings do anything, which again I don't know why. That's why I usually prefer challenge where everybody gets to go, so at least you can see them fail rather than they just fail by not doing anything, which kind of makes another one of these eliminations that's a bit purposeful. If Gray got eliminated last time, I'm guessing 4 gets eliminated this time. I generally have no idea what to expect with these votings. Bowtie Bonanza is the 3rd episode. So let's talk about it. Boom. All right, I can't even lie. That gag at the end was funny. So this is what November Nonsense 3 Bowtie Bonanza. So we have this new co-host. No idea who this is. It's like Coiny, but brighter, and there's a bow tie and glasses on it. Probably somebody's OC. So then again, 10 votes, and pretty much all of them are for play, which gets absolutely cooked. What I had to say, I don't know, but like play gets out. I don't really know how these votes who's voting and how are they voting, but they're certainly giving votes to people. All right, challenges to kill them. Absolute GG to the leaf blower for killing them. However, by I guess stepping on them, crushing them. For the creamy cranberry, decide to put themselves up for elimination. Why? I don't know. You're gonna have to ask the judge. Not even Leaf Blower knows, and they won them the challenge. I just gotta point out this little detail. Why do like half? Okay, half of the images, half of the frames in this episode. No, not half of them. But like for example, the vote to eliminate screen and the screen of the team. There's this one dot at the bottom left corner of the screen that I have spotted, and I am. Ooh. Don't like that dot. That dot is evil. That dot is evil. But maybe we can incorporate into the lore. I'm just saying, 30 episodes of this is gonna get pretty boring. We need to invent some lore before it's too late. Also, yes, the cranberry is gone from the logo. You are the GOAT. GOAT. That is so cool. Yeah, I can't even lie. I mean, as far as ultra joke shows go, this is pretty good. Like, it's pretty good. Like, there's a decent amount of content in it. There's a decent amount of like interesting things that are attempted. You know, I don't know if we can keep doing this for 30 episodes. I think that this is an undertaking of an idea, but yeah. And then the guy as the bow tie fella dies, you play the intro twice because we didn't play it every time. This humor is so goofy. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, that's all I've got to say really here. That is pretty crazy. I can't lie. But yeah, I mean, so far November Nonsense, it's honestly for being a complete joke show, right? In the standards of it, and I've watched quite a bit of these joke shows for reviewing purposes here. This is definitely one of the better ones. They have some relatively interesting concepts for challenges. They're written decently, you know, like it's not that bad, and it's just kind of funny, you know. It's funny, so it's good stuff. To be honest, keep it. I mean, if you're capable of keeping it up, keep it up. All right. All right, next up, we're going to be discussing Tiny Episode 2, the show released by TDOliver. That yet again in one of my earlier videos, I reviewed Tiny Episode 1. Now it's time for Tiny Episode 2. I genuinely don't know how to say the title. It's a bunch of emojis, like a drop emoji plus explosion equal is eyes. I don't I don't even know. But yeah, we're going to take a look at it. We're going to discuss Tiny Episode 2. Let's see. Okay, I just watched Tiny Episode 2. I'm sorry, but I'm so confused. Okay, what is this? So, like, I. What? So, there's, so in the first few minutes, we're just yet again frolicking around a bit. This freaking drum fella just ends up getting out, sort of running around and everything. And stuff, the notepads, or just running around. And then eventually we wake up Orange Juice, or well, Lavajuice wakes up Orange Juice, the buddies. And Orange Juice wakes up with a new and improved asset, actually. To be fair, this asset for Orange Juice looks a lot better than the one in episode 1, so that's nice. And then they each send each other a letter, which I think is the team forming, but we don't ever get to see the teams that are formed. That is the absolute main thing that we're missing out, is that first team to get out of the water is out. Cool. But what are the teams? Like, what are the teams? I don't know. What are the teams? What are they called? What are we doing it? We skipped the team forming portion. Like team that is out is out. But what do you mean? What does that even like? Huh? Then a few people get out. Ruler gets out first after getting thrown away by Candy, and then we got some swag like the freaking chicken nugget. And then yeah, the freaking alarm is glitching and eventually explodes, and then like two of the teams end up getting up for elimination. Ruler's out, according to who? I don't know, but they got 3 votes out of the mysterious audience that was already there, not the viewers. I don't know who voted for Ruler. Was it the team? Was it the team? Because apparently, I mean, apparently we're talking teams of 5, right? Um, because yeah, so if we're talking teams of 5, there's 5 total votes, 2 for Phone, 3 for a Ruler. That means that Ruler got out on their respective team. But problem is, what is the team? Who voted? I don't know what the team is. The only team I know what the lineup is now is the team that's up for Elam, because at least I can see it. It's Lava, the punch freaking bag fella, the Candy, the plug, and the other thing that I don't remember the name of. Like it's like it's the only team that I know because we didn't say the name of anything. Like we didn't see the teams get formed. That's absolutely the crucial thing. You cannot miss out on that. It's just, this episode needed an extra minute where we just saw the teams get formed and we see them complete. Then this episode makes sense, but I was just confused because we were like, last team standing. Okay, but what are the teams? Right? Like, we just lost it. Lost that 1 minute that was extremely important, like one of the top most important minutes. But instead, we're just completely missing it out. So that is absolutely the criticism. But other than that, I mean, the assets are getting better. Pacing wise, it's still relatively confusing. I can't lie. I don't know why this show just has a little bit of a confusing nature to it. Um, but the assets are definitely getting better. Animation wise, it's honestly pretty all right. Like I see what's happening most of the time and stuff. So I don't mind the animation quality. I think this show does fit itself pretty well in backgrounds. Backgrounds for this show are relatively high level. I can't even lie. Like they're relatively solid backgrounds. Maybe the way the characters move and animate sometimes is a little bit off, but in general, it's a pretty good. But absolutely, the main thing that this needs is a little bit of help in a writing department, because it's like, if you are in a writers meeting, yes, you know the teams. You need to imagine that no, you are talking to someone that doesn't know anything. Like you need to try to write your script in a way that a goldfish understands it, right? Because it's like here it feels like we're writing stuff with a degree of knowledge that we just don't have. Like say, okay, here's the notes with your team. Okay, I'm sure they know, but we don't. Like, please show us the note or something. Like, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, you just gotta do more exposition. Basically, it's absolutely the thing that we gotta do. And then we've got a pretty decent opportunity for a show here. It's just sort of confusing to watch. All right, that's all I got to say for Tiny episode 2. Let's keep it rolling. Let's do another one. All right, next up we're going to be returning back to QuackerStacker, which a couple of days ago we watched the first episode of BFBD while I've been doing the whole specials. Another 2 episodes of BFBD have dropped, so we will watch them, starting off with episode 3 called Teapot 20 Sucked. All right. Alright, watch BFBD 3. I'm sorry, I'm cracking up at the joke of it being the only show that sucks when the title is that Teapot 20 sucks. I mean, that's sometimes the humor of these shows is pretty solid. The nuke is sad. I hope there's continuity with, of course, the end of episode 2 where they were like, I'll make sure you don't win. Anyway, the challenge is to do nothing, and Takoyaki coughs, but apparently that still counts as nothing, as Trendy Hootie ends up getting eliminated for calling Takoyaki out for doing coughing. So that's what you say. You snooze, you lose. Tries to get Jar Carlo to help him out, but no. Trendy Hootie seems to be getting chopped up and sent to the elimination playground there. I mean, yeah, you just can't be mean. You just can't be mean. If somebody loses the challenge, you can't be mean to them, otherwise you will be eliminated. I agree with Terrence here, you know? Like, Takoyaki did something, but it was a very minor thing, you know? And screaming, aha, you did a thing, is significantly worse than doing a thing. So I'm absolutely understand there. But yeah, good stuff. Now, we gotta watch BFBD 4, which is called Water Under the Bridge. Okay then, let's hit it. Alright, that was BFBD for Water Under the Bridge. No, I mean, these titles, I don't know what they mean. I don't think they mean anything. To be honest, Water Under the Bridge, I could not tell you under 1 million bridges what that even means in the context of this episode. Like, what? I don't. I don't know, but yeah, the Jack Harlow gets eliminated because you know uh they can put people in first class. I'm just saying, right? We don't know if the other people can put people in first class. Maybe Takoyaki is secretly top 1 business vendors. You know, like how are we assuming that Jack Harlow's the only one who can put people in first class? Maybe Takoyaki #1 most expensive person of all time, right? And they put people in first class all the time. You know, you can't assume that. You know, maybe Gray is #1 first class fire. That's why they don't care about what's going on right now, because they're trying to be nonchalant way. To be honest. But yeah, Jack Harlow getting eliminated. Takoyaki makes that's a good joke with them narrating and everybody, even the host, getting confused. Who is remaining? So we got Takoyaki, Nuke, and Gray. I like that final 3 because they are the best 3 characters, I'd say, in terms of design. Maybe the bunny was pretty cool, but Takoyaki definitely the best design. Nuke's second best design, and Gray's up there. You know, just kind of like, it's simple, but it works. So that's fair. The only thing I'd maybe criticize is that Gray didn't do anything at all. They're just coasting on the radar. They'll somehow win. I do want to see Gray like win by doing absolutely nothing. Are we gonna do the Luigi thing? Like, are we? Like, I wouldn't cut it against a show like this. But yeah, I hope Nuke or Takoyaki win. I hope Takoyaki win. Takoyaki feels like the more iconic character of this show. You know, like they're like in half of the thumbnails at this point, and they're just the go of this show. And there's not much I can say. They're kind of good. So yeah. Next. And then the final thing that we're going to be taking a look at is from Dawn of Light. So yet again, a couple of weeks ago, we took a look at Object Goof 1 and 2, and Object Goof 3 released yesterday, called Dottin Isn't in the Episode. Sorry. Alright, let's watch it. Beep. Alright, I just watched Object Goof 3. It's interesting how I'm now looking at this a little differently, because of course now I watched Animatic Battle, and I realized just how much animatic coded I think like this human host fella is, because they are definitely animatic coded by quite a margin. But yet again, this show manages to have itself this sort of, even in 1 minute, just sort of the backing track or lack thereof puts this show in this weird, uncanny vibe that I kind of find interesting, because it just has a different vibe to any other Object show, despite the fact that it is completely a joke. I don't know, it just manages to do it. This episode, I think, was written better than the other ones because we got to see everybody speak, except for Dime, if I'm not mistaken. Dime's the only character that doesn't show up in this episode. Rolling Pin Jr. doesn't really either, but when Wellington Jr. doesn't speak, they are the source of the first joke of the episode, which is pretty damn funny. So, like, seeing every character at least speak their word, as I always say, is great. Karki, I don't even know if Karki ever spoke in the other episodes, but Karki speaks here, which is quite nice. So, honestly, I think this is a nice little episode. I mean, I'd predict Dying to get eliminated because they're the one that don't appear at all. But, like, yeah, what happens is that, yeah, the host dies after eliminating Lemon, and it goes into his eyes. Then eventually the lamp gets their water stolen by Karki, who uses it. I like Karki's voice, though. I don't know. It was like the first time I remember hearing it, but pretty good. Oh, yeah, Clock doesn't show up either. It's Clock or Dime. I'd say Dime gets out because they're less interesting to be honest, even as a design. Like, they're just not really interesting as a character. To be honest, I don't know how they're still around now that I think about it. They've not done anything. Well, whatever. Um, I'm a bit sad that we don't get to see Cookie or Crumble, whatever they're called, in the elimination lounge again. Because I thought that was really interesting, the way that they're in the void. I was really hoping there would be some sort of plot line going on there, you know, maybe something a bit more real happening in this show that feels like it's sort of happening in this vastness of a void, right? Because like it's this show happening in this vastness of a void, but Chroma's been sent into this different vastness of a void, and it's like, you know, there's something going on, but I guess that you can't really, because Lemon doesn't go there. Lemon just dies, right? Like, while Crumble gets sent to the elimination area, they're alone there still, so I guess there's not much that they could really do. While Lemon got eliminated but didn't go to the elimination area, they just got fucking squished to death. So maybe the next person gets Lemon gets sent to the elimination area, and then we can have a Crumble or something. Yeah, I think there could be something going on with that. Maybe make the episodes a bit longer with an additional section over there. You know, maybe they can discover some secrets or something. You know, some stuff, how to come back. Maybe, you know, there could be some lore happening there, and I think there's potential. The show has its own little vibe. It's got some potential. It just needs to be longer than 30 seconds because the intro is 30 seconds. So the fact that the episode is 1 minute, all right, does it? I don't know. I just think that this show has potential with the ability to have longer episodes, but it doesn't have longer episodes, so it's currently stuck in this one line per character view. But if this show wants to do lore, I think this show can do lore. I really, really, really do. Because, I don't know, it just got the vibe for it. I just look at it and I'm like, this would be a show that would have pretty cool lore. But for the meanwhile that it doesn't, it's just a goofy little show. It's an enjoyable little watch. Gets me thinking of the potential, and it keeps it doing. I think this is the best episode of it yet, although it doesn't have the scene with Cookie, so it gets less theorizing going. But, oh well. That's all I'm going to say about Object Goof. Alright. And there we have it. That is going to be all for today's episode of Object Catchup. There's honestly a lot of shows, some new fellas that I haven't taken a look at yet, that I gotta take a look at. However, the thing about it is just that I didn't want to include a lot of them here today. First of all, to give me a little bit of a break. I mean, if you look at the episodes lately, right, these specials, these shows don't play. So we've had in the past 4 episodes, 3 of them have been Omega episodes, which I call an episode that's over 2 hours long. And then the Object Invasion one is really close as well, 147. This episode is also in the relatively longer range. I mean, it's 1 hour and a half. However, like, I didn't want to have stuff that was 2 hours again because, oh my god. However, with that, I also didn't want to necessarily overshadow any of the shows because the Daylight Savings Object show is one of the big ones. I can't lie, it's a big object show. You know, it's over 100,000 views. It's one of the big fellas of the modern age, right? Like there aren't that many shows that get over 100K lately, right? So it's one of the big fellas to get new episodes, right? So while I could cover some new stuff, I didn't really want to overshadow it, right? So I decided to not to overshadow it by taking a look at the fellas, which I already took a look at, basically, right? You know, just getting updates from the shows, which I took a look at in the previous weeks, and just in general looking at new episodes that there are, and nothing too major, right? I didn't want to take a look at something else major here, considering this day was pretty dedicated to the Daylight Savings Object show. It's not a special because, you know, there's only 2 episodes and they're relatively short, but like I really want to take a look at. So yeah, we just rounded up roughly some of the other fellas and we took a look at the Daylight Savings Object show, but we'll be hopefully, look, unless there's like a random BFDI episode release, you never know when those are happening. So like, unless there's like a random popular object show release tonight, we should hopefully be capable of taking a look back again at some more new shows tomorrow, right? Because we've so far had a lot of specials, but this release window seems to have relaxed itself for now. So it should be all right. We'll have to see, but it's looking good so far. But for now, we're all caught up with the creators we know. Goodbye.